Hello, friends. So, news dropped a couple hours ago on a Friday that Kathleen Kennedy's contract has been extended to 2021. So, yay! If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, hit bell notifications. I put out videos daily. So news broke late Friday afternoon that Disney and the CEO have decided to extend Kathleen Kennedy's contract into 2021. So my thoughts on this are this. So you are working at a job and you are going to be laid off. Typically, they'd like to do it on a Friday. I don't know why. It kind of just makes, it's like the weekend is a buffer thing. Well, in the entertainment industry, it kind of goes the same way. Whenever news has to be dumped, and it's not going to be particularly well received by whoever, by fans or people or whatever, you're going to dump it on a Friday because the regular news cycles aren't going to be able to really run with it on the weekends, because on the weekends people are doing their own thing. So they're kind of like doing their thing, and that's why I think this particular bit of news was released today, and nearly the end of the business day, just like a couple hours ago. So my thoughts on this, I have several thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy and her role in Lucasfilm. But I'm looking at it from a very practical standpoint. Now, I wasn't in love with The Last Jedi. Definitely not in love with Solo. I think a couple filmmaking choices in both those movies could have saved both of them, in my opinion. Now, I've been very critical of her as a leader. You have somebody over in Marvel like a Kevin Feige who has a clear love for the properties. Kathleen Kennedy is an essentially business person. And whether she likes Star Wars or not, I think that kind of vibe rubs off on the fans in a negative way. So, as far as numbers go, The Last Jedi was very successful, still holds about a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Solo, even though it was considered a failure as a Star Wars movie, still did good box office. It made roughly about the same amount as Ant-Man and the Wasp, which came out, right around the same time. So from a fiscal standpoint, the woman is doing her job. And you can't get rid of somebody necessarily because of bad public relations. What's the old saying? There's no bad publicity. There are lots of layers to this, which I will not get into in this video because it would be like 2 hours long. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of talk after Solo that her job was in jeopardy. And I honestly thought along the same lines. But as time goes on and you start thinking about it, she's doing her job. She's making money for the company. So at the end of the day, that's the important thing. That's the important thing to the shareholders. Despite your personal views, I don't think that can be necessarily argued in her, against her. Now, I find it very fascinating. There's a couple pieces of information. So last week, Bob Iger, which I did a video about this, was talking about the future of Star Wars and how they were going to pump the brakes and kind of run, play a careful game, as far as releasing what movies, time frames, that kind of thing. And then we get this on Friday. So I think they did it because while it was going to make news no matter what, I think they just were hoping that it was going to kind of lose some steam before it hits the Monday news cycle, which it probably will. It won't be as big of a story because it just dropped Friday afternoon, and of course everybody doesn't pay attention to the news over the weekend, and then by Monday it's almost old. So I find that very interesting. It's like they were aware of when to announce this. They said, let's just go ahead and dump it in the dead zone of the weekend because, fewer people are it's not gonna make the mainstream. Also, take this into consideration. It even says so in the Hollywood Reporter article, which was where this broke. They, considering what Iger had said about the properties, they are going to be focusing, I think, a little bit more on the TV properties. Now, think about this. The next Star Wars movie doesn't come out until next December. That's 2019. We have no announcements of what's going on after that. Theoretically, we could get something in Star Wars Celebration in April. So if her contract extends to 2021, they have nothing in the pipeline until then. I find that very interesting. It's almost like she's essentially going to be just running out the clock or running kind of like on autopilot for a little bit as far as Star Wars goes. Because even if they got started today, we would not see a new Star Wars movie besides Episode 9 until 2020 at the earliest. Okay? Episode 9's happening. That's already happening. So if her contract ends in 2021, I don't think there's going to be any major films before that necessarily. Yes, we might get something for 2020, but as we get closer to 2019, that's looking less and less likely because of the time commitment it takes to make these films. We could get something at the end of even devil's advocate, even if we got something announced and in production today, it would be mid-2020 at the earliest we would get a new Star Wars film. Earliest. Unless you want to really rush something and get it out there, and then you're running into a whole other set of risks at that point. So the fact that she's going to be leaving in 2021, well, we don't know that. We don't know she's going to be leaving, but her contract was extended to 2021. So what do I think this means? I think she's going to kind of just put it on cruise control for a bit. Yes, they are going to be reworking their Star Wars movie release strategy. And of course, they got the whole Disney streaming. That's a whole other thing. We have that live action series. We have that couple animated going to Disney streaming. But that's a smaller fish to fry compared to a feature film, which you already have a pretty rabid fan base. So I see a couple of scenarios happening. She runs out her clock, leaves, or maybe that extension is to give Iger or whoever an opportunity to get somebody in there, get a Feige in there, get a Kevin Feige type in there to run your movie studio, the creative portion. I've heard a couple people say that they keep her as the business, get a Feige in there as the creative. That would be awesome. Honestly, I don't think you would even hear much of a peep from anybody. So this is interesting. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Without saying there's a lot going on here, it's definitely interesting to see what the next couple years are going to be. I know there's going to be a lot of frustration out there. I get that, people. I do. But we do have episode 9 that's coming out next December, and it's essentially, we've got a long wait for that. She's going to be there till 2021. Hopefully this whole thing gets turned around. I would love for her to come in, and really kind of embrace the fan base and keep the business there, but also be show the love. I think some public relation positivity will go a long way. So that's gonna be it. Those are my initial thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy's contract extension. What do you guys think? I know that it's a very hot topic. A lot of people are passionate about it. It's interesting, to say the least. We live in interesting times, Star Wars fans, people. So go ahead, leave your comments below. What are your thoughts? So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and I will see you at the movies.